The stone, it wasn't broken by a hammer. No saw tore through it. Yet like butter, it silently split in two. So how is this even possible? One of history's most mysterious structures was built without a single iron tool. And this structure, it was the Temple of Solomon. But the real question is this: how were the stones cut? What power achieved what even metals could not? Today, for us to cut a stone, we need diamond tips, giant machines, laser technology. But 3,000 years ago, stones were being separated, silently. No hammer sounds, no sparks, no dust clouds, just a name whispered, Shamir. And throughout this video, we will decipher that name. In this video, we're going to do the following. What is Shamir? What is it not? What do ancient texts tell us? Is this a biological entity or a lost technology? What are the mathematical secrets of Solomon's temple? And what does modern engineering say about this structure today? We'll cover it all. If you're ready, we're opening the doors of the temple. In the Torah, in the Talmud, in Islamic sources, the same rule is always repeated. Iron would not be used in Solomon's temple. The reason is a deep symbol. Iron was the metal of war, the symbol of the sword, the spear, the shedding of blood. But the temple, it is the house of peace, the center of worship, the place of sanctity. That's why every single stone had to be cut perfectly before being brought to the temple. The stones were prepared outside, not inside the temple. Each one was specially shaped according to the point where it would be placed. In 1 Kings 6:7, it is written, "In building the temple, only blocks dressed at the quarry were used, and no hammer, chisel, or any other iron tool was heard at the temple site while it was being built." But here's a critical problem. At that time, processing stone with this precision was difficult even in the most advanced civilizations. In Egypt, in Mesopotamia, in Phoenicia, this kind of mastery was not known. This is where Shamir enters the picture. In ancient texts, it is clearly stated that without Shamir, the construction of the temple would be impossible, which is why Prophet Solomon was obligated to find this mysterious tool. So what was this Shamir? No one knew exactly. In ancient Jewish texts, Shamir is sometimes described as a substance, sometimes as an insect, sometimes as a living entity. In the Talmud it says, "Shamir is smaller than a barley grain, yet nothing can withstand it. Its property is this: the moment it touches even the hardest rock, it can crack it, shatter it. But it does this not with physical force, but as if on a molecular level." In fact, according to the accounts, Shamir had to be kept in a lead container, wrapped in wool under tight protection, because if left uncontrolled, it could destroy everything. Even metal could not withstand it. That's why it couldn't be put in iron containers. Lead was seen as the only substance that could limit its power. At this point, this question comes to mind. Was Shamir a biological entity? According to some interpretations, Shamir was a special type of worm, a creature that existed in nature but was extremely rare. The substance it secreted from its tissues was an acid that dissolved stone. But other interpretations are even more interesting. Could Shamir be not just a creature, but also an energy, a vibration, a frequency? In modern terminology, what do we call this? Resonance, ultrasonic vibration, or laser. Now wait a minute. Imagine this. There's an object. It makes contact, but it doesn't generate heat. It doesn't make noise. It doesn't create a dust cloud, but it separates the stone on a molecular level. What does this remind you of? Yes, laser. So what if Shamir was an ancient laser technology, or an energy source similar to it? Today, when we cut stone with a laser, what happens? The beam focuses on the surface of the material, breaks the molecular bonds. The cut is extremely precise, clean, silent. Shamir's description is incredibly similar to this. But 3,000 years ago, how could such technology exist? This is where two possibilities emerge. Either there was an advanced technology in the ancient world that we don't know about, or this technology came from a source beyond human. In Islamic sources, it is narrated that Prophet Solomon ruled over the Jinn. In the Quran, in Surah Saba, it says, "And of the Jinn were those who worked for him by the permission of his Lord, and whoever deviated among them from our command, we will make him taste of the punishment of the blaze. They made for him what he willed of elevated chambers, statues, bowls like reservoirs, and stationary kettles." These verses clearly state that Solomon worked with beings beyond human. But are the Jinn mythological creatures, or representatives of another reality? According to some modern commentators, Jinn are intelligent beings existing in a different dimension. They are energy forms, and Solomon's access to them made possible a kind of knowledge and technology transfer. Shamir, according to accounts, was a tool brought by the Jinn. Solomon learned to use it, but this knowledge was lost with his death. Throughout history, many civilizations have encountered technologies that suddenly appeared and then disappeared. The construction of the pyramids in ancient Egypt, the transportation of giant stone blocks in South America, the precise carvings in Indian temples, all were accomplished with techniques we still cannot explain today. So what if this knowledge existed at one point, but was deliberately hidden or forgotten over time? The story of Shamir makes us think about this. Perhaps what was truly lost was not the technology, but the way to access that technology. Now, let's look at the temple itself, because the structure is not just an architectural masterpiece, it is also a mathematical manifesto. In 1 Kings chapter 6, the dimensions of the temple are described in detail. It was a structure 60 cubits in length, 20 cubits in width, 30 cubits in height. The cubit was the standard unit of measurement of that period. It varied between approximately 4550 cme. Accordingly, the temple was approximately 27 meters long, 9 meters wide, 13.5 meters high. But what's truly interesting is the relationship of these proportions to each other. When modern engineers analyze these measurements, they notice this. The proportions of the temple align with the golden ratio. The golden ratio is the number 1.618. It is a mathematical constant that repeats in nature, in the human body, in works of art, in music, even in the structure of galaxies. The temple's length-to-width ratio is approximately 3:1. But the ratios of its interior sections strikingly approach the golden ratio. This cannot be coincidence. Even more interesting, the temple's most sacred section, the Holy of Holies, was in the form of a perfect cube, 20x20x20 cubits, perfect symmetry. The cube, in ancient symbols, is the representation of the universe. 4 elements, 6 directions, complete balance. Inside the Holy of Holies was the Ark of the Covenant, and above this ark were 2 cherubim sculptures. These angels whose wings touched each other symbolized divine protection. But the architectural details of the structure were not only symbolic, they were also acoustically optimized. The temple's ceiling was made of cedar wood. The walls were covered with a combination of stone and wood. These materials reflected sound waves perfectly, allowing the prayers spoken inside to resonate. Modern acoustic engineers confirm that this type of design maximizes sound quality, meaning the temple's designers had taken acoustics into account. The lighting system is also interesting. There were no windows inside the temple, but golden menorahs were constantly burning, illuminating the space. The reflective property of gold distributed the light evenly. No corner remained in darkness. All these details show that the temple was not just a place of worship, but also a marvel of science and engineering. Today, when scientists look at ancient structures, they ask 2 fundamental questions. How was it built? And why is it so precise? In the case of Solomon's temple, Both questions still have not been fully answered. The technique used to cut the stones had a precision that even modern technology struggles with. Each stone was placed with millimetric harmony. Not even mortar was used between them. This kind of harmony, even today, requires laser cutting and computer-aided design. But in Solomon's time, these didn't exist. Some researchers suggest that Shamir could be a type of ultrasonic vibration device. Ultrasound is high-frequency sound waves, invisible to the eye, but can affect matter. Today, ultrasonic cutters are used in medicine for surgeries, in industry for precision cutting operations. Perhaps Shamir was an ancient ultrasonic tool? Another theory argues that Shamir was a type of biological acid. In nature, some insects and bacteria produce enzymes that dissolve stone. Perhaps Shamir was a substance obtained from such an organism, but all these theories are just speculation, because Shamir itself has been lost in history. After Solomon's death, all knowledge about it was erased. In the Talmud, it is written that Shamir disappeared before the destruction of the temple, as if someone did not want to leave this power in the hands of humanity. The story of Shamir and Solomon's temple is not just an engineering matter. It also carries a deep theological message. In the Torah, in the Talmud, in the Quran, Solomon is the symbol of wisdom and justice. God gave him not only kingship, but also unique knowledge and power. Shamir is part of this power, but it is also a test, because such a tool, in the wrong hands, could create great danger. Solomon's story teaches us this. Power and knowledge come with responsibility. If this responsibility is not fulfilled, the power is taken back. The construction of the temple is not just a physical structure. It is also a spiritual journey. Every stone, every detail was placed with prayer, contemplation, obedience. From the perspective of faith, Shamir's loss is not coincidence, because humanity did not have the maturity to carry that knowledge. Perhaps we still don't even today. But the story also gives us hope. Knowledge is never completely lost. It is only hidden. It waits, and when the right time comes, it emerges again. Perhaps the problem is this. We consider the past primitive, but perhaps what is truly primitive is our perspective, because some knowledge doesn't disappear over time. It just gets buried in layers we cannot see. Solomon's temple was not a structure. It was a message. Shamir was not a tool. It was a symbol, a reminder. It tells us this. Limits exist only in our minds. Reality is far broader than what we see. We can say this clearly. Shamir is not an ordinary legend. Solomon's temple is not an ordinary structure. And this story has still not been fully solved. Perhaps it never will be solved. Perhaps it's not meant to be fully solved, because some secrets should remain secrets. But this shouldn't stop us from searching, because searching is as valuable as finding. If you want more videos like this combining science, history, and mystery, subscribe to the channel and write this in the comments. Was Shamir technology, or was it a miracle? In the next video, we'll discuss 3 lost technologies used in the ancient world that still cannot be explained today. One of them is the ventilation system in Noah's Ark. See you in that video. May God protect you.